You probably heard the whispers. Car prices are dropping and people are talking about a market crash. But guess what? It's actually good news for us, the consumers. What used to be a game controlled by dealers has turned into a battleground where we're coming out on top. They can't ignore it anymore. People just aren't buying cars like they used to. But hold on, there's more to this story than meets the eye. This isn't just a local hiccup. It's a global phenomenon that's reshaping the entire industry. And you know what? It seems like it's all for the better. So what's really going on here? Well, let's break it down. You probably noticed that suddenly everyone's talking about it. From big financial YouTubers to mainstream news media, the message is the same. Something's up in the car world. But it's not just about prices taking a nosedive. There's a whole slew of factors at play here. Sure, we're not exactly thrilled about paying sky-high prices for cars anymore, but there's more to the story than that. Let's talk about those dealerships. For too long, they've had free rein to jack up prices however they pleased. But now with this market shift, that's all coming to an end. And you know what? It's about time. So is there really a crash coming? Well, let's just say the writing's on the wall. But don't worry, it's not all doom and gloom. In fact, it might just be the shake-up the car industry needs. Remember the days when dealerships demanded an insane $3,000 to $40,000 over the MSRP? Well, those days are officially history. Dealers are now finally waking up to the harsh reality that those sky-high prices just couldn't last. Now they're slashing the numbers on those top-tier trucks because, let's face it, no one can afford that. But here's the catch. If you've stepped into a dealership recently, you probably noticed that the price tags on the car windows look the same as ever. However, once you start chatting with the salesperson inside, they'll let you in on the real deal. And trust me, it's a big one. Often with discounts ranging from $5,000 to $155,000. Now don't be fooled into thinking this is some stroke of luck. Prices don't just drop out of thin air. There's always a reason behind it, and spoiler alert, there is more to come that'll deflate the market even further. But let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. The prices of cars, both new and used, have been skyrocketing in recent years, reaching record highs in 2022. One of the main culprits, the global shortage of semiconductors. Consider this, a modern car requires over 3,000 chips. That might sound like a lot, but it's only a mere 3% of the global demand. Most of these chips are snatched up by the consumer electronics industry, leaving car production in the backseat. As a result, some companies had to scale back their production output, leading to lower inventory and, you guessed it, higher prices. According to Key Blue Book, the average new car price in October 2022 was a staggering $47,936. More than anything, low interest rates and attractive financing options have made car loans more affordable, enabling buyers to shell out more for their dream vehicles. This surge in demand has fueled a recent high car payment, averaging around $750 per month. Now that's no small change. In fact, auto loans have skyrocketed to become the third highest debt category, totaling around $1.5 trillion. The demand practically for used cars has been off the charts. They offer a more budget-friendly alternative to brand new cars. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, the used car index, which tracks used car prices, rose by over 40% from December 2019 to October 2022. Now here's the million-dollar question. Will all this lead to a market crash? Let's be real, the situation bears some resemblance to what we saw in the housing market, both now and back in 2008. But as always, there are different opinions on this matter, and we're going to dive into it head first. Things are changing, folks. There's a shift happening in the supply and demand dynamics. On the supply side, car makers are revving up their production, securing more chips and ironing out their supply chain issues. According to UBS Global, car production is set to exceed sales by 6% in 2023, leaving an excess of 5 million vehicles that'll need price cuts to clear the lots. Consumers are likely to tighten their belts when it comes to spending on cars, thanks to higher inflation, rising interest rates, and dwindling savings. These factors are putting downward pressure on car prices as manufacturers and dealerships scramble to attract buyers. According to JP Morgan, prices could see a drop of up to 5% for new vehicles and 10 to 20% for used vehicles in 2023. So, is a market collapse imminent? And if so, what does that mean for us, the customers? We'll get to that in just a moment, but first, let's address the elephant in the room. Will there really be a crash? Sure, reduced price points can send shockwaves through the automotive ecosystem, impacting the bottom line for manufacturers and dealerships alike. This can especially hit hard for those dealing with hefty fixed costs and substantial debt burdens. potentially stifling innovation and competitiveness. Dealerships and manufacturers are feeling the heat as the car market undergoes a seismic shift. Take Volkswagen for instance. While it's a European company, its struggles reflect the broader trend. Volkswagen is drowning in a colossal debt of nearly $200 billion with over 300,000 cars languishing across 37 US facilities. Their average car price has plummeted by almost 6% in just the last year, encompassing all vehicle types including combustion engines. But when we shift gears to electric vehicle market, the landscape changes entirely. Who wants to fork over cash for an overpriced EV when traditional combustion engines and hybrids are catching a price break? Tesla's leading the charge, slashing electric vehicle prices by a jaw-dropping 33% over the past year. For the first time ever, used EVs outnumber new ones. However, there's a massive roadblock ahead: interest rates. As rates climb, people are clinging to their used cars. Understandably, it makes perfect sense to stick with what you have rather than take a new loan on an inflated rate. But that's not the only issue. Dealerships often finance their vehicle inventory through credit, not cash. With interest rates hitting levels unseen in 2 decades, every day without a car sale becomes a hefty cost for dealerships. Fast forward to the present, and that same waiting game is now racking up a bill of over $12 per day. This shift in cost dynamics is lighting a fire under dealerships, urging them to hustle and move their existing inventory as fast as they can. But don't be fooled. The push to sell cars isn't just a strategic chess move. It's a financial survival tactic. Languishing too long in the waiting game could mean dealerships find themselves bleeding money on the very cars they aim to sell. Now let's talk about the future. Is a market collapse imminent? Well, buckle up, because it's going to be a wild ride. In recent years, we've seen some cars defy the usual depreciation principle. But let's face it, on average, a car loses 11% of its value the moment you drive it off the lot. Zoom out a bit and 1 year down the road, that's 25% gone. Hit the 5-year mark and your average car is waving goodbye to 63% of its initial value. Imagine taking out a $40,000 loan, only to find your car's worth a mere $20,000. You can't sell it and you can't refinance it because those pesky interest rates are hard to come by. So what's the move? Well, a lot of people are simply saying goodbye, handing their keys back to the bank and letting them deal with the mess. But here's the kicker. There's a concerning trend in loan delinquencies, particularly among subprime auto borrowers. According to FIT rating, the percentage of subprime borrowers falling at least 60 days behind on their loans reached a record 6.1% in September, the highest observed since 1994. And banks, well, they're doing what they do best, turning away loan applications with an intensity unprecedented in the last 10 years. So brace yourselves, financial profits are predicting more trouble to come in 2024. And let's not forget about the other two big players in this conversation, dealerships and manufacturers. So what does this mean for you? Whatever the market is headed towards, you have to know where to stand. Yes, car prices are going down, but for how long? If you're thinking about diving into the car market, well, now's your golden ticket for some savvy negotiations. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel if you have found this video insightful.